Good evening, good afternoon. This is JodiAsmr coming to you from the Cleveland SCP headquarters. I'm here to alert you tonight. An SCP-7819. You see, SCP-7819 is object class rated Keter, and it is uncontained. If you are currently under the influence of SCP-7819, please immediately refer to Addendum 1. SCP-7819 is still under active study, and if you believe you have come in contact with it, contact the research lead immediately. Its description is terrifying. SCP-7819 is a predator. It's not just a predator, but it's a predatory location that manifests along exits of the United States numbered highway system in the contiguous United States. SCP-7819's appearance is generally fixed. It presents as a small roadside hotel or motel, though the exact layout may vary. Advertising vacant rooms, always identified by exterior signage as the Rest-Eazy Inn, spelled with a Z in easy. Several conditions must be met for SCP-7819 to manifest for a driver. The time must be midnight and 4 a.m. local time zone. The driver of the vehicle must have been driving for a total of over 5 hours, discounting small breaks. The driver of the vehicle must be a past or present Foundation employee, probably a rogue employee. The driver must be alone in the vehicle. Upon driving near SCP-7819, the driver will begin to feel a deep-seated sense of fatigue and tiredness. It is unclear whether this is a natural reaction to driving for several hours and seeing an opportunity for a break. We don't really know. Not much is known about this creature. Well, what manifests itself eventually as a creature, but hides behind the walls of institutions. It is unclear whether this is a natural reaction to driving for several hours and seeing an opportunity for a break, or an anomalous phenomenon called SCP-7819. It is not known yet. I'm careful to bring this information to you, but I just felt that it is important that you are aware of this so-called very dangerous Keter class that sees an opportunity for a break as an anomalous phenomenon called by SCP-7819, and it lures the drivers in then. Regardless, this fatigue will continue as the driver pulls off the highway and into the parking lot of the inn. Should the driver pass SCP-7819, the sense of fatigue will remain so unbearable through unknown means. Their vehicle will seamlessly transported several miles backwards, often without their realization. They will drive past SCP-7819 again, to be transported back again, and this process will continue until they finally give in and park inside SCP-7819. You listen carefully. The driver will not be able to escape this phenomenon until they exit their vehicle, enter SCP-7819, and perform several requested activities. These activities vary, but SCP-7819's many manifestations have provided a relatively dependable action plan for performing the rituals and surviving SCP-7819. If you are currently under the influence of SCP-7819, please proceed through Addendum 1. Remain calm. Do not rush. Accuracy and efficiency is most important here for survival than speed. Good luck. Addendum 1, SCP-7819 Survival Guide, up to date, March 26, 1996. Oh God, that's all we have. Space, parking lot. Here are your instructions. According to 1996's rules, my fear is growing for you. You must bring your car into an empty parking space. Try to select that's surrounded by other vehicles. To separate yourself from the pack would attract attention. Once you park, exit your vehicle. Take only what you need, whatever device you are reading this document on, your cellular phone, keys, purse, or wallet, and a bag containing some toiletries and essentials. Luggage and clothes will slow you down. If you have been equipped with a firearm or own one privately, I repeat, do not take it with you. Some spend time in the parking lot before entering the lobby. Observe the other parked cars around you. You will note inconsistencies, such as wheels made of wood, unclear jumbles where logos and brand marks should be, but they're not, and shapes, designs that do not correspond with any actual make or vehicle produced by any automotive company. Avoid looking through the windows. If there is a large burning vehicle in the parking lot, I warn you, do not investigate it further. If at all possible, pretend it is not there. Enter the lobby before the fire goes out. Researcher Adam Middleton. I followed protocol. I pulled my forerunner into a parking spot of this dingy sex motel. The last parking spot, actually. The lot was completely full. Otherwise, I grabbed a few things I have and squeezed out of my car. I parked next to a big Dodge Caravan, except wait. No, I'm not. It's like you described a caravan to someone else, and they describe it to someone else, and then that person had to make a model of what they had in mind of a paper mache car. I accidentally knocked a hand against it and realized that it was made out of some kind of plaster of Paris, and it was hollow. I got so curious, I started investigating the other cars. They were all like this, every last one of them. Logos and designs that look like cars I knew growing up. But if you really take a close look, it's all nonsense. A facade, literally. I wasn't scared, but it did put me on edge. Like when you know someone is trying to put you at ease, and you put your hackles up. So I head into the lobby. So my instructions were, upon entering the lobby, make my way to the front desk. I was promised it would be unoccupied. They told me to ring the bell once, that the sound brings me comfort. Wait in the lobby without exiting. Hum your favorite song to yourself as you wait. The silence in the lobby will be described as painfully and brutally oppressive. Cease humming when you become aware of the noises coming from behind the counter. I was told then to hop the counter. I was also told there should be a closed door rattling as though someone is on the other side. Listen to the sounds and write them down somewhere. Write them down. Write them, listen, write, listen, write them, make a note. That's all I could think of because I didn't have a piece of paper. They said the sounds would grow louder, and they did, repeatedly slamming my fist against the door. They told me not to speak. Eventually you will be slipped a key to a room. That's what they said. But they also told me that this may not work on the first attempt, so I should repeat it until I succeed. Say thank you, they said, and leave. Agent Mari Kayer. I have no idea what's going on. Doors firmly locked. I can just hear through it, and the paper thin walls. Pretty filthy noises. Soft enough to where I have to press my ear against the door to hear anything at all. Wet like someone thumping a trench towel on the ground over and over. There's this periodic wet coughing sound. The slapping stops during the coughing, but then starts the moaning. It sounds like it's in pain, like someone's starving to death. It rises and falls in pitch, but it's always there. I can hear a whisper too, and sometimes the moaning and whispering and coughing are all at the same time. How many people are in here? I tried rattling the doorknob, and it all stopped. All of it except for the moaning. I froze, and after a few seconds they went back to it. I'm telling you, man, this is weird. Weird shit. As I'm in the elevator, my instructions were, my room will inevitably be on a higher floor, and I should have been able to find stairs. None. Forcing you or me to use the elevator. I should have noticed that the buttons are in an inexplicable pattern and have unclear writing on them, none of which I've ever seen. I was instructed to press whichever button feels right. Does this make any sense? There should never have been another person in the elevator with you. If I should see someone, I should beware because I was told they are not human. Treat them with the appropriate level of caution. Do not remove my eyes from them, and I was told to always stand with your back against a wall. And then I was told that the figure resembles an older, clean-cut man, supposedly wearing an expensive suit and overcoat. Do not enter the elevator. This thing was smiling at me. He complimented my appearance and he tried to hold the door, but the instructions told me to not take it. This thing did this for up to several minutes, repeatedly attempting to convince me to enter. The old man was so polite, but firmly, telling me that I am just passing through, and we'll wait for the next one. So I did. Make sure to stand behind the threshold, for it cannot pursue you outside the elevator. And I was told to eventually move on, but my concern is, will it? Will it really move on? I was terrified at this point. I was then instructed that if the figure resembles a middle-aged woman in hiking gear, I may enter the elevator and ride it to my destination. The elevator ride will take much longer than it should. It took up to a half an hour. I was told not to panic and reciprocate the woman's attempts to make general conversation. I was told to lie to her, lie openly and brazenly about every single detail, including obvious things like my ethnicity, age. She appreciated this. I don't understand what's going on here. I was told that the figure resembles a younger vagrant. It is safe. It is safe to enter the elevator. I was told they will not speak, but may offer me a hug. Accepting this has no consequences as the instructions clearly laid out. And whether or not I take the hug is my discretion. When you arrive at the floor, they may offer me a trinket, such as a tin duck or ceramic ashtray. I was told to accept it gracefully and keep it close at hand. I am terrified. Senior Researcher Amir Mari. My nerves were on fire. I was lucky I pulled the vagrant card instead of the Wall Street anglerfish card at least. They seemed nice. Couldn't have been older than 19 or 20. Dressed in clothes completely worn through. I get in and we were standing next to each other, heading up to my floor. When this man reached out, I sort of let it happen, and he hugged me. A proper hug. I haven't been hugged like that in a long time. Don't say a word, instructed the instructions, so I didn't. Just hugged me for a few seconds like he knew I needed it. Step back, and what he gave me was a matchbox filled with leaves. And then the doors were closed and he was gone. The hallways. So I was instructed that I should exit out of the elevator into a hallway of some kind. Checking my room key is pointless. It will either not have a number on the key or have an entirely impossible one for me to read. My room will make itself known to you when I find it. As such, I should begin walking down the hallway. But I have to admit, I didn't know if I fully believed this. Resist the urges it said to investigate the other rooms in the hallway. The doors have peepholes in them, and making eye contact may invite unwelcome attention. Instead, keep my eyes focused down and ignore any feelings of being observed as you proceed down the hall. Avoid making any noise. The thing is, I was told the other guests are sleeping, but I had a feeling there were no other guests in this hotel, or whatever this was. The instructions read that the hallway is generally not linear, and you may find various other spaces. What the hell does that even mean? The instructions read, eventually you will arrive at a crossroads. These will occur regardless of whether the exterior topology of SCP-7819 allows for it, and are suspected to be incongruous spaces. As such, it is advised not to remain in them for more than a few minutes at most. I was told personnel who have dallied in the crossroads report dull headaches and paranoia. This is best addressed by picking a direction at random and beginning to walk aimlessly down it. So it is unclear to anyone whether SCP-7819 adapts to one's mind or vice versa. But you see, this has been the most effective method for arriving at one's room. Apparently, I will know it when I see it. Officer Lewis, DeLeon. I have no idea how long I was walking. At least 40 minutes. But that was after I started checking my watch. Endless shag carpets and flickering yellow lights and shitty commercial art on the walls. It was out of American Horror Story. I thought it would be just one long hallway, but man, I was wrong. It wasn't. I mean, at first it was. But then it ended and took a sharp turn right and then left. And then down a set of stairs, past the smoking lounge through a little hallway. And you know what? None of this was in the instructions. There was no kind of sense or consistency to the construction. I just felt like a weird amalgamation of every tall hotel I'd ever been in. It was like all put together, glued together without thought, without engineering, without anything reasonably normal. It was like craziness in building form, I guess is the best way to describe it. Eventually it started getting really bizarre. I mean, really. Let's start with the carpet. It went from drag beige to like, I don't know, the pattern you find on bus seats. There were curtains, but they were nailed to the wall so they couldn't be opened. Every successive set of doors kept getting lifted a few inches off the ground until they were literally halfway into the ceiling. This isn't a place people were meant to be. Not humans. My room. Here were my instructions. I was told to use my key and enter my room. I should have immediately felt a chillness in the air. This is normal. Do not close the door behind me until I have turned on all the lights. And I was sure I was the only living being in that room. This was terrifying. There may be a door to an adjoining room, it said. Move a piece of furniture in front of this door, or otherwise find a way to barricade it. That's what they told me to do. So the layout of the room, I was told, will vary and may be completely idiosyncratic, such as having mismatched furniture sets, dozens of chairs filling the room with nothing else. Or from being difficult to traverse. They told me to do my best to get comfortable, and that the bathroom may be locked from the inside. But this is not a point of concern, they said, unless you have reason to believe someone is inside. If I did, I was told, bar the door to the best of your ability. I could not use the restroom. What kind of place is this? What kind of hotel where you can't even use the restroom? The instructions instructed me to keep the lights on, at least dim them, but get into a bed and pull the covers over my head. If the room has a television, they told me to put something on to calm my nerves. Personnel have suggested home and garden television delivers the best relaxing results. Eventually, you will fall asleep. Researcher Brett Stevens. My room had 3 beds. I'm not even lying, fanning out from and facing a single focal point. A shitty microwave that wasn't even plugged in. This was so baffling. I can't even explain it. It was like it was designed by a person with no understanding of how humans lived. I got in the bed and I made sure everything's fine. Then I put my stuff down. Took a leak, which is when I found out the bathroom was fake. The plumbing. Get this, the plumbing wasn't attached. And the toilet and shower made out of something like plaster and plywood, like you would see on a prop of a movie. But hardly the weirdest thing so far. But for some reason that really messed with me. I got out. I slipped into bed. Almost immediately I felt insanely tired, despite the circumstances. I could barely keep my eyes open. And right as I was drifting off, it occurred to me that I hadn't checked under the beds. The pool. I was instructed that I would wake up in the hotel hot tub. There will be no one else in the indoor pool area. I will feel physically awake but mentally exhausted, and this should be completely normal. A small radio set on a nearby table may be playing a song from my childhood, but the signal will be poor quality. They instructed me to try to tune it better if I can, but never change the station. Do not, in big, bold, dark letters, change the station. You may exit the hot tub and inspect the main pool. That too was going to be full of idiosyncratic shapes and construction. I was told I'd find the surface tension of the water much stronger tight membrane that prevents objects from breaking through it. As such, it told me, do not step into the water, 'cause I will drown. None of this is reassuring to me. Underneath the membrane, you will see many shapes moving around. Ignore them. Okay. And then I was instructed to return to the hot tub upon re-entering it. This time completely submerged myself. Despite my expectations, once you go under, it will not feel warm. And it didn't. It filled with bitter cold water, painfully ice cold. It was worse than stepping into ice water. I was told to ignore it, and then I was told to open my eyes. Then I found that the hot tub descended several feet deeper than I ever would have assumed. Swim to the bottom, they said. Grab the small object you see lying on the floor. Inspect it after emerging from the water. And here's where I found my clothes, neatly folded on a nearby table. Dry and redress yourself before departing from my room. Another account. Agent Sabrina Maxwell. I've always loved hotel pools, she said. Something about them. I don't know. You'd think everyone would go for it, but for whatever reason, it feels like I'm the only one who's ever in one. It's just a nice, calming space for me to sink into the water and be utterly alone. But this was not like that. I'm telling you, this felt wrong in some indeterminable, indescribable, horrific way. Every facet of it seemed designed for maximum discomfort. There was an echo bouncing off the ceiling and water being close enough to your own voice to drip you up. Yeah, the water. The angles and contours of the pool were unnatural. Like someone had possibly never seen a pool and then built one. Literally hundreds of life preservers hanging off the walls. To say the least, the main pool was unnerving. The membrane on top made it so that everything under the surface was blurry and almost impossible to make out. But still I could see 3 or 4 blurry shapes moving around just as in the instructions. They were swimming back and forth. I swore one of them was person-shaped, and at first I thought it was another person trapped or hurt or something. I tried to get a little closer. I did not step into the water, but I put my hand against the film. It swam up the other side and pressed its palm where mine was. Held it there for a moment. But then the most terrible thing happened. It started slamming its fist against the membrane like a wild, vicious animal trying to tear through it, like something I've never seen before, but it couldn't. I could hear screeching from under the water. I screamed, scrabbled backwards, grabbed my things, and I ran, forgetting any but the other rules. Thankfully, I only checked out the other pool after getting the object from the hot tub. It was an engagement ring. My engagement ring. I had lost it years ago. I flushed it down the hotel toilet I was staying at. The breakfast area. Here are the instructions. On my way back to my room, I will pass by the breakfast area attached to the lobby. But don't worry, it will be just as weird as everything else because it will still be dark outside. It's still night. It will be open and the lights on. Enter. There was a large amount of food laid out on the counters. Most of it will be inedible in some form, though there are usually some edible food things. Ignore all of them. Do not feel guilty about doing this. Instead, I made my way to the other person in the breakfast area. I joined them at their table as they ate. They attempted to persuade me to stay. Politely but firmly, I denied them. The pain that was pulsating through my heart hurt. But it is necessary that I wish to leave. They will repeatedly do this, I promise, and you must. Listen to me, you must. Keep denying them until they stop asking you. Another account. Technician David Dominique. Plastic fruit. Styrofoam waffles, muddy water instead of coffee. This is not an exaggeration. It was fake food. All laid out and presented like a typical continental breakfast. Oddly weird, but I followed the instructions. I ignored all of it. I headed for the table the man sat at. An older guy, salt and pepper hair. He looked like every dad I'd ever known. The only sound in this room was his chewing. And the dead air on the television, it softly played static, like it was some kind of popular rock song. The man looked up, excited to see me, as he noticed me coming towards him. He politely asked, "Please take a seat." So I did, opposite of him. He started bombarding me with questions. Where I was from, where I was going, how long have I been on the road? people in the elevator. This man seemed genuine, sincere, wanting to know if I was all right and having a nice time. I tried my best not to feel bad about ignoring all of his questions and just saying I want to leave. I got the feeling that he heard this a lot. He was so persistent about me staying, begging me, what can I do to make you stay? What can I do to make your stay better? Sorry, but I want to leave. You're not enjoying the amenities? Oh yes, they're fine, but I want to leave. Don't you think this is nicer than having to deal with the troubles of life? It's a resort, this man said. Maybe, but I prefer the troubles over what this is. Fighting to choke down the parts of me saying he had a point. Eventually, he just goes crestfallen, quiet. Is there anything I can do to make you stay? No. He seemed to accept that. Told me to spend the rest of my night checking out in the morning. He was still there when I left, alone. Check out. My instructions. When I wake up in the morning, it'll be late. No matter when I fall asleep, I gathered my things and departed my room as told. I found that the layout of SCP-7819 had shifted dramatically overnight and was much easier to navigate. Several doors in the hallway were still hanging open, and I passed cleaning carts as though housekeeping was doing their rounds. But there was no one around me. I headed to the elevators as instructed and back down to the lobby. There was similarly be no one at the front desk. I was instructed to place my key down, so I did, and then asked to depart SCP-7819. I was told to get in my vehicle. The parking lot completely empty now. Get back onto the highway. Drive until you can get in contact with your nearest site and report your SCP-7819 encounter. Another account. Researcher Tanya Andrews. The light of day makes things feel a lot different. The labyrinth of the carpet and hallway just felt odd, now not so sinister. I went downstairs, turned my key into the empty desk. The breakfast area was closed again. I stepped out the doors, the sun was shining. I got in my car and back on I-10. Put the hotel in my rear view mirror, and then as soon as it came, it was gone. Now my parents and I used to take a lot of road trips when I was a kid. We stayed in a lot of hotels. You know, the kind of shitty roadside lodging where the rooms are cramped and the prices are dirt cheap. Age-old carpet, unfashionable furniture from the 70s, sinks that stick out into the room, and hard mattresses that hurt your body when you sleep on them. It's not a resort, just a place to basically lay your head for a night. Transitory spaces where you're meant to come and go, and never to stick around. Motels are not home, obviously. They try their best to feel like they're home, but not particularly well, which is why they have such a unique vibe of their own. A corporate design space calculated to put you at ease. They're spaces for humans to inhabit, but there's nothing really human about them. And 7819 embodies that pretty well. Something that doesn't really understand humans trying fruitlessly to lure them in with fractured memories of motels and hot tubs. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what 7819 is. Not really. I can only make guesses from what I experienced, like I said. I took a lot of road trips as a kid, and there are some deeply, deeply strange things that live on the edges of these highways. If you follow these instructions, you will exit with no issue. If you haven't, we do not blame you for staying. I hope you all have enjoyed this SCP-7819 Class Gator Keaton So next time you're driving in the middle of Texas and you come along a roadside motel after miles and miles of nothing, remember this message, because they're out there. They are real, and they are wanting you to stay forever. Good night, my friends, and be safe. Be safe